And that report by Hala Moyadin. Now, joining me here in the studio is Julia Muson, a French consultant whose job is to coach aspiring women politicians. She's also the founder of the agency Women and Power. Now, as we just saw in that report, there was a lot of bitter mudslinging between the two candidates, and recently Hillary Clinton, in launching a campaign to encourage greater participation by women in politics, quoted the former First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, who said, in order to survive in an arena like that, you need the skin of a rhinoceros. But that doesn't come easily to women, does it?
I think what's harder for women is that they're believed to be weaker than men. So the political battle is hard for everyone. The whole point is being prepared for that. And once women have experienced it or understood that it will happen that way, I think they just deal with it.
But what qualities do you need in order to survive as a politician?
I think you really need to anticipate what can come next, to be strategic, to have a really, really good network, to know how to find allies and friends who will support you for your career.
So, as you just said, much of the political success is based on accessing a powerful network. And the reality is that people with power these days are still very much men, aren't they?
Yeah, right. But I think the issue is not to have the right network, is to have the broader network. So at Femmes et Pouvoir, we really encourage women to network with other women who are in politics, of course, to network with men, to go in networks of men, and to go to networks of women where they will find some support and they will be able to share experiences and the problems they have and the strategy they use.
And just taking a pause there, Julia, and talking about political breakthroughs for women in politics, the new Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi has formed a 16-minister cabinet, half of whom are women. Now, in a country that's never had a female Prime Minister or a head of state, the move has been seen as strikingly symbolic. Still, the Italian media found it hard to restrain themselves from talking about what the women wore at the swearing-in ceremony. One newspaper chastised the new reform minister for wearing a bright blue suit that was a little bit too tight. And Egypt now has its first woman head of a political party. Hala Shukrallah, a Coptic Christian, has been appointed leader of the Liberal Party, Dostur. Shukrallah says if the highly popular army chief, Field Marshal Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, becomes president, he must issue guarantees that he will not be above the law. However, there's still no date for presidential elections, nor has Sisi yet declared his candidacy.
Will we once again give power to a person who will not be held accountable for his actions? Will he be placed above the law and the Constitution? We forget that we are the people and that the people have a right to question, hold accountable and withdraw confidence when they don't see their rights being implemented. There are risks which we must vocalise out loud and demand guarantees if Field Marshal Sisi does run for president.
Now, Julie, these are positive signs that women are indeed taking on more prominent roles in politics. But when you look at the Italian media's coverage of that swearing-in ceremony, as an example, and, focusing very much on what the new ministers were wearing, it shows that we've still got a long way to go.
Yeah, I think the common point when you're a woman, whether you're a minister or a waitress, is that there will be someone telling you how you should dress and behave. So my advice, and I'm sure they already know it, is of course not care about it and do what they have to do and do the job.
But as a result, there was questions raised in some of the Italian newspapers that those women had been appointed for their looks, that they could tweet and smile, and that as a result there was some sort of question as to their ability to do the job.
Yeah, it always happens. I mean, whenever you have a woman arriving at a high position, people will wonder why she's here and suggest that she's not skilled enough to be there. So I would say the same thing. I think that's just the way it is, and women have to deal with it.
Julia Mazon, thank you so much for being with us. And finally, as the conflict in Syria enters its fourth year, the Syrian opposition media remains active both online and on the airwaves. Several radio outlets already broadcast into the war-torn country, but for the first time, one station is now in the hands of a group of women. A France 24 team went to the Turkish city of Gaziantep near the Syrian border to meet them.
6 months ago, Zoya Bostan gave up her life in Syria, but not her work as a journalist. Once a presenter on Syrian national television, Zoya has been part of the launch of Hawa Smart, an opposition radio station transmitting in Syria, like many others created since the start of the revolution. Their improvised studio is in an apartment in the south of Turkey. The main difference is that the majority of the journalists are women.
This reflects the true image of women in Syrian society, mainly that we still exist. This is in contrast to the current global tendency to say, you see, the Syrians are killing each other and women are taking the back seat.
In a country in the grip of war, radio frequencies are simply shared as tags on city walls. Information is spread by correspondents on the ground who are no longer afraid of showing their faces, challenging both the censorship of the regime and close-minded jihadists. Among the issues they cover is the plight of Syrian women, who are the mothers and wives of missing persons and also increasingly victims of rape, a new weapon in the conflict in Syria.
There's a very scary number of rape cases today in Syria, and almost every day we receive videos of testimonies.
There is also the issue of food, a vital need for those living under siege. To help provide her listeners with provisions, every morning Linda reads a list of the products that have been sent out.
We do that because there's a lot of places under siege. There are no goods, no food, none of the basic needs. We're trying to send a message to the people who want to send something and tell the ones who need aid where they can find it.
Ali Safar is one of the founders of Radio Hawa Smart. His decision to put it in the hands of women came from the belief that Syria cannot be a true democracy unless the role of women improves.
Women who are working in our radio now are journalists and used to work in media generally. And somehow we need to hear the voices of women in alternative media. We need this voice to reach people because in the past the voice of women in the regime media was just an accessory.
As the conflict in Syria enters its fourth year, opponents of the regime of Bashar al-Assad are now worried about the effect of jihadists, whom they consider a new obstacle in their fight for democracy.
And that's it for now. If you'd like to comment on what you've just seen, please head to our Facebook page, France24/the51%, or do send us a tweet at _51%. Thanks for your feedback so far, and do keep those comments rolling in. Until our next program, bye for now.